Yep, Film Up. Welcome to the Film Vault, everyone. That is Anderson. I'm Brad Merchantbury, host for today's top five veterans. Top five veterans, well, performances by veterans. These are actors who has some military service before they are actors, went on to success on the stage, the big screen. You know their names, and for me at least, these are actors who, when I did my research, I was like, no kidding, that person served in the military. I had no idea. Like I explained earlier, like, you know, if I told you, oh, Clint Eastwood was in the military, I'd be like, yeah, sounds about right.
Satin up.
Yeah.
What happened?
What? What'd you do?
Oh, I pushed the producer list this week. Really shows.
It's really hurting the show.
Yeah, we're doing the show a couple days early to appease my acting schedule this week. So thank you for all of you who are enduring this producer-less show. If you're watching on YouTube, you probably noticed there's no music.
You're not missing much.
That's a great song.
No, I mean for the producer.
Oh no, we are. I miss my Avery. It's always a better show when Avery's here.
We're gonna have Avery and Logan in studio together.
Yeah, they're gonna fight.
Soon. I know, or duke it out.
I'm like that girl that likes to
supremacy.
see like two men fight over her, and it's gonna be very similar to that.
You must have fought a man over a woman.
Yeah. I mean, I have. There's some stuff that happened. It was all high school stuff. Oh man, why is that level so low?
Fix it.
Aye. All right.
What am I paying you for?
I know, it's a good point. Why do you pay me, boss? If you are watching
you never talk
YouTube,
about, you never talk about
Brian's wife just entered where the bag was that Dan was so upset about a few weeks ago.
The bag's been moved.
Well, I see the bag there. I try and put the bag. I try and make sure the bag is there every single time, just for Dan.
You barely talked about the day I employed you.
Yeah, I know. I didn't talk much about that. So Brian hired Mike Carano and I to shoot an interview. What?
Slow down.
Brian and I discussed the idea of me working for Brian for an afternoon so that he could. It was one of his bucket lists.
That's right.
Is make a wish.
It's like the toy.
And
slightly less racist.
I didn't lay it on nearly as thick as I had planned to. I kind of got distracted and kind of quite honestly, I just forgot. But I was going to treat you. I was going to give you exactly what you wanted with a lot of like looking good, boss, and anything you say, boss.
I wouldn't have given.
I forgot.
That would have been extremely awkward.
You'll have to hire me again so I can do that. I was going to do that in front of your your interviewer. Interviewee. Yes, your subject. But yeah. So
really, let's not joke around. I'm the subject.
Let me tell you this. I have yet to receive payment.
I've yet to be invoiced. I've yet to be billed.
Here's the kind of boss that Brian is, and it doesn't surprise me.
Generous, magnanimous.
Brian lets me know because we were shooting at the hotel, and they got a little room downstairs, which I had some problems with that little room that we had.
That was my last choice, buddy.
Would have rather done it in his room. Why couldn't we have gone up to his room?
Because he had checked in, remember? Like, I didn't know what time he was checking in, and I wanted to be set up and ready to hit the ground running. Okay. It was a very tight window.
It would have been worth 45 minutes of tearing down and resetting up upstairs to get up. But whatever. I didn't throw my weight around at all.
I also didn't know that he'd be allowed in the room because usually check-in's like 4. So I was like, hey, can't bank on that.
Brian let me know that parking was a bitch because it was in Beverly Hills, and I think that the hotel offered I think it was $52 to park.
It was something absurd.
Yeah. And Brian said, if you look around, there are lots. Could cost like, $10, $20. Never like, just invoice, for wherever you park and just make sure you keep the receipt. No, you didn't. I know. That's kind of boss you are.
Okay.
You're like, yeah, parking's going to be a real nightmare.
Yeah.
It's all like hour-long parking.
That's
so
right.
just find a lot. It should cost like maybe $10 or $20. You didn't. Usually it would be followed up on most productions, like, and just, make sure you hold on to the receipt and, invoice it, and we'll take care of that as the production.
We're zero budget.
That was
I'm
not.
going to be paying you from my own Venmo.
Oh, no, Brian. I thought that you had a little
we did, but
bump.
The money has not arrived yet. So
okay.
Until it does, we're zero budget.
But that money is en route. It will be arriving.
It's been promised.
Well, I can tell you this, that this is true. Mike paid $10 of the $20 cash.
You split it?
Well, because I only had $10 in my wallet, Brian.
Oh, that's bad.
And these guys who were on the take, obviously, we parked at the McDonald's lot.
Were you allowed?
Well, yeah, it was like one of those. It was absurd. It was something like $8 every 15 minutes or something.
Oh, wow.
And we said, hey, we're going to be here for 3 or 4 hours. If we give you $20 cash, will you be cool with that? And they're like, oh, yes, right this way.
It was also like midday on a Friday.
They kept the money, obviously, right? They just kept the cash. It was off the books. Right. So I said, Mike, all I have is 2 5s. And those 2 $5 bills were gifted to Atticus the night before in a birthday card that he got. And then I said, don't. You'll lose them because you're sick, so give them to me. And that money was promptly spent on your production.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to make Atticus an associate producer.
Oh, that is true. Everything that I just said is absolutely true. I did refund him. Don't worry. Speaking of which, he got that birthday card from a woman who runs the acting class that we do. That Atticus and I'm an assistant over there, and Atticus is also a volunteer to an extent. He partakes in the acting.
The website is, what was the Diablo Cody website?
Yeah, I'm not going to appease you there. But DSA Los Angeles, which is the Down Syndrome Association of Los Angeles, is having a little walkathon, 28th annual DSA Los Angeles T21
Oh, this is a plug.
Walk and Festival, November 13th in Santa Anita Racetrack.
How about that?
I don't know if it's too late to sign up and volunteer, but it's November 13th.
Sign up the day of.
And I don't know about that. Tickets are like $25. I think you get to go walk. Atticus and I will be there with our guys walking around.
Nice.
I think the track. I think we actually get to walk the track.
Do you have a donation link?
The famous Santa Anita.
Is that where they kill horses?
It's where they shoot horses. Yeah, they shoot horses, don't they? Great movie. Very good movie. All right, so the 28th annual DSA Los Angeles T21 Walk and Festival. That's a mouthful. November 13th, Santa Anita Racetrack in Arcadia at 11:30 a.m. You can go to https:// or is that forward backslash? I heard somebody, an old fella, saying this the other day into a microphone at an event that I was covering, and he was getting all tripped up with the backslash and forwards. All right, you go to dsala.org. dsala.org should get you there. Okay.
All right.
And if you'd like to, if I see you out there and you see me, if you do come out, it's a great cause. $25, like I said, for adults. A high five will be in order. Let's get a high five going. And
Sunday the 13th.
Let's raise some money for the Down Syndrome Association of Los Angeles. Yes, Sunday, November 13th. Also my brother's birthday.
Oh, yeah. I'm sad to say I'm busy celebrating your brother's birthday.
28th annual DSA LA. All right, let's go. Let's talk movies. Have we even talked on this particular episode about this being Philip Crow's episode?
We have not. We talked about it last episode, but listener Philip Crow brings us this. Mine are less about the performances and more about the service, the fact that they were veterans, some fun facts, some service notes, I guess, as it were. So I guess I'll choose a favorite performance that I've seen from these actors. But any crossover.
Doubt it.
So many.
Yeah. And this is landing on Veterans Day for most of you, unless you're a Patreon member. You got it a few days earlier, as is the case. But Philip Crow, who is a 4-year Marine vet, he wanted us to be sure to say Happy Birthday, Devils, for the Marines. It's the birthday on the day before.
I've never heard him called Devils.
That's what Philip calls him. I spoke with
he would know
Philip earlier in the week, and we had a good time. It was nice that I finally talked to Philip because I've been emailing with him for literally years. And here's what he has to say. I freely admit that none of these are. Oh wait, that's just to me. Never mind. I won't read that. Could really use a producer this week.
I'll buy you some time because I want to ask you a question, Anderson. What is there military service in your family?
Yeah, my dad. I'm a USAA member.
Oh, that's right. I have the fucking great insurance.
My dad was Air Force, and he was over in Europe. He didn't see
Did he fly planes?
No theater action, but no, he was. He was dealing with planes. He did fly some planes for sure, and he was. I later found out that he was more of the safety guy on the planes, which makes sense because my dad was very all about safety, which is why I have a broken back, and I truly believe that.
Really? Because you rebelled?
Yeah, because he was also a defiant or I was a defiant little boy, and he was a particular type of father, and I every chance I got, I rebelled, and that included being as safeless as possible. I hated, and I still to this day hate the term "safety is first."
Oh, really? For you, it's last.
I hate it. I hate it. But yeah, so I would do really dumb shit just to get back at my father, and ultimately I was just getting back at myself and breaking my back and being lucky to be alive. I'm very, very fortunate to be alive these days because of the ridiculous things that I did as a youth. All right. That said, my dad was in the Air Force.
Nice. I have a grandfather who was in the Canadian Army.
That doesn't military. Count. I don't know if you realize that does not count.
One grandfather who was in the Navy, U.S. Navy.
You wear the carnations there? Poppies? No, poppies. They wear the poppies over there in Canada.
Do they?
Oh, Brian, you know very little about
I do. Well, he wasn't in uniform a lot.
Gotta wear the poppies, Brian. All right, how are we doing this? Let's just
Usually 5-1.
kick it off, and I'm gonna have a long list of also rans as well.
Almost too many to mention.
Yeah, there's a lot, and then a lot of them were news to me.
All of mine were, I guess. By the way, we're going to make mistakes this episode, so please, a little bit of grace. If you don't mind, I beg your forgiveness ahead of time. I believe all of mine were distinguished in some way, if not decorated. I know that at least one was of my top 5. There's an also ran I want to talk about where I was reading about his military service, and I was like, oh, not too distinguished.
That came into play a couple times where I'm like, oh, I'd love to have that guy on my list. And it's like, oh, he was barely in there. He got out pretty quick.
He served the Coast Guard.
He was a
not
paper
to minimize,
pusher.
but I mean, these people also.
What's wrong with serving the Coast Guard?
That's a good point.
What the fuck? What kind of comment was that?
I probably insulted a few people.
You know, I was one signature away from joining the Coast Guard. One signature away.
You love the ocean.
I did. I went through everything, the tests, the physical, all that stuff. And then
pre-broken back?
Yeah, broken back, and then I got a phone call. I was ready to go in. You had to stay overnight, and then in a hotel, and then sign off. Like it was the final physical, the final test. No, I did all the tests. I was in. I was in. I just had to sign all the paperwork, and they were going to put me up in a hotel, which was kind of weird. When I was like 18, I was excited about it. And then I got a phone call. I was still in high school when this was happening, and then I got a phone call from I had knocked on the door in this office in West Hollywood and said, hey, I'd love to, provide my services and work for free for you. This is a different entity. And they said, this is not how we do business. We don't just take cold calls from people knocking on our door. Thank you very much, son, but no, thank you. And they thought better of it. And
really? They reconsidered.
The Cousteau Society ended up calling me right before the week
pen
before.
Pen to paper.
Week before I was supposed to go in. So I'm like, Cousteau Society or Coast Guard. And
either way, you're on the water.
Either way, I'm on the water, and I chose. Who knows? Things would have been much different.
Indeed.
But that's how close I came to Coast Guard. I do wish that I was in the military. I wish that I had done something. I feel like when I think about it, and I look at lists like this, and I talk to people like Philip, I'm like, fuck. I feel like kind of like a suckler. Not a suckler.
Like I understand. My early 20s were wasted anyway, so why not just sign up?
Hey, I was wasted in my early 20s. How about that?
Nice.
Wasted and wasted. No.
I would have gotten as fat.
I do think that if I had to put money on it, I do think I would have been dishonorably discharged, or at least asked to leave. I don't know if I could have done what is expected of you, which is follow orders. I think that there was something deeply wrong inside of me where I cannot do that.
Do you think you would have been assigned to some specialty division like broadcast? You know what I mean? Like
probably cleaning toilets.
Okay.
As punishment for being a dick to my instructors.
Not based on your ability, based on your actions.
I think now, with today's brain, Anderson's brain now, and the body of yesterday, I think I would have been pretty good. But back then, I just had such a defiance to authority. So I still have it, but it's got.
You would have gone all in. You would have been military boy.
Who knows? Maybe maybe the right drill instructor could have used it and somehow, and maybe who knows? I don't know.
We'll never know.
Number 5 for you, Brad.
Number 5 for me. Well, where does Bishop Crow go? What does he go?
Bishop Crow?
Mr. Crow.
Philip Crow. Philip Crow. I don't know. Let's put him up top. All right, here we go. Philip Crow begins his list. I need your list, too. Please send your list to Avery, okay?
Good.
I'll be out of town. I'll be on a gig. Philip Crow's number 5 is Steve McQueen as the titular Papillon. Have you seen that Papillon?
So he's going performances. I have not seen Papillon. I don't like movies. Did Akira Kurosawa direct it?
Number 5, Steve McQueen as the titular Papillon, says Philip. Here he goes on to say, I really wanted Steve McQueen to be higher on this list. He got permission to enter early and served in the Marine Corps from 1947 to 1950.
Please don't say corpse.
Having been busted down from private first class to private no less than 7 times. Wow. He is the archetype of the rebel and remains the king of cool, in my opinion. Unfortunately, I find Private McQueen to be just a bit wooden on screen. Perhaps it's a generational thing. I agree with you there, Philip. This is me, Anderson, talking. Philip goes on to say, Papillon is maybe not Wind with the Gone. That's what I call Gone with the Wind, because I watched it out of order like a dumbass. But Papillon is maybe not win with the gun, but Steve McQueen is so handsome and cool that I just couldn't leave him off the list. Agree on all counts. I love that Papillon, and I even love Carolla's story about Papillon and how he was subjected to it as a young child.
Inappropriate.
Very inappropriate. But yeah, you should, if you want to suckle at Carolla Harriman's teeth,
I know.
you could really bond with him
Believe me, I
going
thought
in
about
there
it.
and letting him know that you watched it with your 6-year-old daughter.
Believe me, I thought about it.
You should do that. So that's number 5 for Philip Crow, and I will not say corpse again. That was me just thinking about something else and being worried about reading poorly. I know that it's core. I understand that. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean you're from San Fran, so you should get it.
Why? Oh, don't do that. Don't do that.
Woo. Hella San Fran boy over there.
You got the first part right.
Fucking hate. What? You're from Frisco. I forgot.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Frisco's bad too, huh? You guys
San
demand.
San Fran's worse. But
you guys demand that the full thing be sent.
No, you can say the city.
You mispronounced it. It's the city.
Oh, that's right. The city.
Get the fuck out of here. All right, go ahead.
Number 5 for me, again, less about the role and more about the man, but I think we're all getting to the same place. I did not realize Don Rickles has a military history. He joined the Navy shortly after graduating high school, and he served as a first-class seaman on the USS Carini. Carini. That was a major torpedo tender ship, which served to resupply torpedo carriers with fuel and provisions in remote areas. He was honorably discharged in 1946.
Rickles was.
Yeah, so he served in World War II. He sailed on the USS Carini through the Panama Canal, Papua New Guinea, Philippines, and San Francisco, the city. He said he ended up using some of that military experience in his act. He later said that of one deployment, it was so hot and humid, the crew rotted.
Jeez.
I know. I don't think it's true. It's a comic exaggeration.
I heard a story about a run-in that he had with Kevin Hart on the Stern Show, which made me think forever about Rickles a little bit differently.
Really?
Yeah.
It was race or what?
Yeah, it was a generational thing, I guess, and it was heartbreaking hearing Kevin Hart retell it.
Yeah, but don't you expect Rickles to come in hot though? I mean, like especially the fellow comic.
It wasn't on stage or anything.
Oh, it was
just like a little like a meet and greet at the table.
Oh, they're both very short.
Here's what I read about McQueen too, and Philip did not include this, but this is interesting that he got off to a troubled start in the Corps, Brian, and he had spending time in the brig.
Well, he was busted down from PFC.
He was punished with rations of bread and water.
Oh, like in fucking the Great Escape.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure it wasn't like
and
that.
he heroically rescued several men during a disastrous training exercise in the Arctic. Who's taking the Marines to the Arctic back in the day?
To train.
Let's go look at penguins and freeze our ass off.
If you're fighting, so who would have been World War II, right? So if you're fighting on the Eastern Front, that's a lot of snow.
He ultimately was given the honor of guarding President Harry Truman's yacht.
Is that?
Can you imagine?
Not the man himself.
No, just his yacht.
Yeah.
Hey, you can watch the president's yacht while he's away. And
in the spirit of fairness, if I have to choose a favorite Rickles role, I'm going with, of course, Casino.
Of course,
as the floor manager in Casino.
Number 5 for me is Harry Dean Stanton.
Yeah.
Love this man. Love his body of work. He's mainly known as a character actor.
Very recognizable, though.
I'm going to have 3 of his performances, which I don't do on any of my others, but I want to showcase 3 of them here, at least mention them by name. Paris, Texas, 1984, which we saw just this calendar year. We saw it. Wild at Heart, of course, is one of my all-time favorite movies, as well as his role in there. It's just the whipped private eye who will do anything, but he knows better. And then, of course, his final big and one of his only feature. He's the titular character, Brian, in Lucky, the 2017 Lucky. Oh. Love the character, love his performance. Did not love the movie. I feel like the movie could have been done a whole lot better, but I did like his performance as Lucky, and it was nice to see him. One of his last films ever to actually take the lead, and it was kind of like a nice farewell to a man who had gifted us with so many performances.
I was saying so many. His IMDb has got to be over 100.
Yeah, I think it was just 200. I think
200.
Lucky was 199th.
Oh,
his 199th credit. And he served in the Navy during World War II, working as a cook on a ship during the Battle of Okinawa. And I could totally see Harry Dean Stanton serving up some chili and some slop. Can't you see that?
Yeah. That's almost right there on his person. You know what I mean? Military cook.
He used to play regularly. I think it was like Thursday nights or something locally here at the Mint because he was really into music as well.
Oh, really?
He played, I think it was jazz or the blues or something. And I always meant to go check it out and see him there, and I never did. And it's one of my greatest regrets in life, Brian.
That's funny. One of my greatest regrets is also missing a legendary musician. You know what we should do? You know what we should do sometime?
No. I don't like where you're going.
You know who plays semi-frequently here in L.A. Is Jeff Goldblum. He plays in a jazz band.
Can you imagine the people that are in there, though?
A lot like me. There's normal folk.
People that because
you know how much swirling is going on?
Yeah, I mean it's twofold because the type of person that thinks Goldblum's the best.
I don't think he's the best. I just want to.
I love Goldblum.
Experience it.
I love him. I do. But there's like a younger generational thing where they discover this guy who talks funny and they think that they're quirky for liking him.
They know him from like apartments.com or whatever it is.
Jurassic Park maybe.
Right, but I'm saying this younger generation, like, who is this guy?
I read an article from a person. I read the first the first paragraph, and it was talking about how sad they were that they had to cancel. Like everyone has to have to now cancel Jeff Goldblum, and then they talked about how he's great, but we have to cancel him because of this. And it was like, no,
what do you do?
I forget something not worth of canceling
have
because he didn't get canceled.
Did you ever in Loveline? You ever meet
I never met the old.
He came into the Corolla show 4 years ago.
I would imagine a great guy.
What a delight! A delightful man. Just it's always, you can always tell when they show some interest in anyone who's not Corolla.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, and what's your name?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm Brian." He's like, he wrote it down so I could remember. He's just very polite, very cool dude.
Yeah, I would imagine that's kind of I've heard nothing but good things. I guess there was some kind of skeleton that somebody unearthed. It was during the McCarthy era of canceling where people were just they had to be they had to be fed. And I remember I read like a paragraph or two from this monstrosity of a human being trying to say that everyone had to cancel Jeff Goldblum. And that said, maybe he did something dastardly.
That's possible. I only know the man from meeting him once.
Please don't hold me on my feet to the fire if I'm wrong and he should have been canceled, but I don't think that was the case. I recall reading it. It's like, you guys are stretching here, and this guy is just I hated that guy so much. All right, not Goldblum, the guy that was writing the article.
Yeah.
I'm talking a lot about something I don't have anything in front of me, so
that's what we do.
Let's move
That's
on.
our show.
Number 4 for Philip Crow goes a little something like this: Scott Glenn as Emmett in Silverado. Going deep.
Wow.
Scott Glenn served in the Marine Corps for 3 years following his...
These are all Marines for Philip.
Yes, for Philip, because Philip is a Marine himself. Phil. I'm going to call him Phil. He says his family calls him Philip, and his friends call him Phil. Scott Glenn served for 3 years following his graduation from College of William and Mary from 1964
Bill and Mary.
To 1967. Details are scarce about his service records and achievements. I should also point out,
was he like a spy?
Philip was shooting me emails back and forth leading up because he came up with the idea of us doing this so it lands on Veterans Day probably 3 months ago, and there have been emails, and Phil did not leave a stone unturned.
Really?
A lot of you guys put in the work and put in the effort.
Did it go to the archives?
Put in the effort to come up with your list when you're deciders, and Phil did it like a Marine would, which is...
Set the bar high?
He set the bar high with lots and lots and lots of digging. So he's got some on his list, which I imagined he would, that did not come up with my initial research. I ended up seeing a lot of them, all of them, but I had to dig deep. So anyways, Scott Glenn is one of those ones. So he goes on to say, I wanted to put Mr. Glenn on the list for his performance in Urban Cowboy. What with the mesh shirt and the eating the mezcal worm and all, but I don't remember Urban. This is me talking. I don't remember Urban Cowboy because I was like, it was during my phase where I was watching movies.
Is that the John Travolta movie?
Yeah.
Never saw. It wasn't supposed to be great, was it?
But I think his part as the keystone of an ensemble cast in Silverado is a bit better. If you fall anywhere on the spectrum of I don't hate westerns, this is a great flick.
I hope most people fall there.
With an all-star cast. No, there's a lot of people that just hate westerns.
Yeah. Oh. Sasheen Littlefeather?
Are you just naming Western movies now?
No, she's the Indian that accepted the Oscar for Brando.
Apparently,
I
she
imagine she
wasn't.
hates westerns.
You see the. I don't want to get into it.
I've been educated on her because it came up on the Corolla show, and people are like, "I know she's a total fraud."
Is she? It turns out because her sister came out and said she's not.
Yeah, the sister kind of laid it out like, "Oh no, we have no or very little Native American blood. She's exaggerating." Blah blah blah. Her name is like Nancy.
But then somebody else came along and tried to substantiate. I don't know. You can't. What the fuck? It's all just hate noise, right? There's so much hate noise out there.
Maybe it happened way before I was born, so I'm only aware of it as a moment. I didn't experience it.
No, neither did I. It's just the spirit of it coming up now, and she's dead, and
true.
And then the other side, if it is fraud, and the other side's trying to say that it's not. It's just we're all like spoken to like we're children constantly, and I hate it. That's why I tapped out, Brian.
Number 4 for me.
Fuck news. How about that?
Oh, fuck the news. That's a T-shirt.
How about it? Fuck the news.
Number 4 for me. This is
what's worse, news or social media? They're both awful.
I take a more nuanced approach, which is there are good things to be taken from both, but yes, both have big downsides.
Mm-hmm. Well put. All right.
Number 4 for me. This was a surprise when I came across this actor's name. He is, of course, Willy Wonka himself. Gene Wilder was drafted into the Army on September 10th. 1956.
I didn't know they were doing the draft then. Did you? When I read this as well, I was surprised that there was a draft in the 50s.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was Korean War driven. I don't know if just maybe there were, I don't know. I should look into that. He was born Jerome Silberman in Milwaukee, and he served under that name. He was assigned to the Medical Corps and trained at Fort Sam Houston. And after training, he was assigned to the Department of Psychiatry and Neurology at Valley Forge Army Hospital in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, where he worked as a paramedic. He was honorably discharged in 1958, and the next year, when he was 26, he adopted the name Gene Wilder as his stage name.
Gene Wilder. That's where he learned to do the Willy Wonka flip or roll.
The somersault?
Yeah, he learned that.
That was part of basic training.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Number 4 for me is I'm going deep, Brian. I love myself some Buster Keaton. I feel like everyone should. Everyone. He's so easy to appreciate if you just scratch the surface. The man's a maniac. Something that I don't know, can I bridge this gap because I forgot to bring up a shot from Ikiru from last week or earlier in the week that we the Akira Kurosawa film that we covered. There's a shot which I don't know if you noticed it, but it was kind of breathtaking for me. I rewound it and watched it a couple times where back talking about Ikiru.
We talked about the singing.
Watanabe and this young girl that he's hanging around with at some point in the film. She goes out in the street and there's 2 street cable cars going, and she goes right in between the 2 of them, and they both cross. Like and it was like a stunt. Like that took a lot, especially back then, to time that, and it was fucking unsafe as can be.
Seriously.
And that's how Buster Keaton doing stunts like that throughout his entire career. Of course, most people have at least seen. I'm sure it's a meme and GIF, and you see it all the time where he's standing there and the entire A-frame of the house falls down, and he goes right in the window. The man he did incredible feats on film and was one of the first to do so. Ended up breaking his neck on stage, maybe even before he was like a film star. Like he had a stage presence as well. Buster Keaton is something to behold. I have his most basic film as my number as the movie to accompany Buster Keaton on this list. It's The General. It's the one that I've seen the most of his. It's his most popular, but it's the one that I can most easily feel confident in recommending, and it's also streaming pretty much everywhere because I think it's like public domain.
Nice.
It's been over 100 years, so I guess everything is public domain after 100 years.
I think 85 or 87 is some weird specific number.
You're right. We looked that up at one point.
Weird. Anyway, sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
And we're all hearing about it too because like the Grinch somehow fell into public domain. The Mean Grinch is coming out.
No, Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh did too, but there's like a horror Grinch movie coming out as well. Anyways, that's not
the Grinch. That's one of my next year should be a horror movie. Better's horror.
Well, I mean, there's
the Grinch.
Somebody beat you to it there and actually produced the film. Sure. But Buster Keaton actually was drafted way back in the day, and he served in World War I, like the OG.
Oh wow, the Great War.
The OG war. The war. That's what they called it. The war, Brian.
The Great War.
The war.
The Great War.
The Great War. The Great War, Brian. Yes. World War I.
Indeed.
Brian. And you can see him doing all sorts of somersaults and backflips in When We Were Young.
Oh.
Was that what it was called?
You tell me.
We were once young. We were young. What was it called? The Peter Jackson movie. That everyone, well,
They Shall Not Grow Old.
They Shall Not Grow Old. I was completely and totally
No,
off.
you were right there in spirit because they're not going to grow old, but you had all the words wrong.
Yeah, but Buster Keaton is not in that too, so
No,
I'm
he's
wrong
not.
right there. From the get-go, I was
Yeah,
wrong.
that's right.
Yeah, terrible. I was wrong in so many counts there. I wish that I could take all of that back.
Do you know what I heard? And I'd heard this from more than one person, so I believe it wholeheartedly. Why there is such a high gay population in San Francisco, in the city?
Tell me, I'm all ears.
Apparently, after I think World War II, the
Sailors,
military,
a lot of sailors.
yeah, well, the military, Section 8, they would basically kick people out who were gay at the time, and apparently they dropped off a huge. They basically pulled into San Francisco Bay, dropped off a huge population they were expelling from the military, and they just kind of they're like, okay,
Set
we're
up
in San
shop.
Francisco,
Like, all
yeah,
right.
we live here now. That's what I heard.
Sounds like lore.
It does, but I heard it from more than one person, so I'm going with it.
I mean, I could see that as being a possibility, but I would think it would be more about like some kind of scene gets started by like maybe like a art district or
It's
something, and
Unthinkable.
kind of like Welcome to Life, but it didn't actually come to
Welcome
fruition with
to
Welcome
Leith.
to
That's
Leith.
right.
Leith.
That's right. Leith, Minnesota, right?
I mean, far different groups. Obviously, one being a hate group and one being a love group. But yeah, all right.
Number 3 for me.
Number 3 for you, brother.
For me, I was
Are we gonna have any
surprised.
crossover? We didn't do it all back and forth. Are we gonna have crossover? You think we're gonna have any crossover?
I asked you that question. You said no.
Really? You asked me that?
Yeah.
I don't recall.
You said no.
Well, let me
And
change
then
it
I
to
said
yes.
there's a long there's a long list.
I think we're gonna have one.
Number 3 for me. He is more of a filmmaker, but he acts in many of his films. Talk about Mel Brooks. I have a long list of notes here from Mr. Mel Brooks. He has quite the write-up. But yes, he was drafted into the Army, 1944. Due to his high scores on the military entrance exam, Brooks was placed in the Army Specialized Training Program at VMI, Virginia Military Institute, where he learned combat engineering and other fighting skills, including diffusing landmines. Yeah. 12 weeks later, he was sent to basic training in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. He arrived in France in November of 44, and then Belgium, serving as a forward artillery observer with the 78th Infantry Division. This is fascinating. A short time later, he was transferred to the 1104th Engineer Combat Group, participating in the Battle of the Bulge. He was sent to the forward edge of the battle areas, helping to clear German landmines.
He went to the bulge.
He was on the front. He was. I mean, I don't know if that counts as the front, but he was fucking clearing mines, man. How hairy is
That's
that?
insane.
That's insane.
That's scary.
So Allied forces.
I don't like movies about that, let alone
I
actually
know,
doing
and
it.
hearing about the real thing. And yes, on 5 occasions, Brooks's unit had to fight as infantry and suffered casualties doing so.
You
so
got to find some humor in that there,
we
Mel.
are lucky to
You did.
still have Mel Brooks.
Hey, you jumped Philip Crow. How dare you, sir? This
No, I
is
go
his
first.
topic.
I thought I went first.
I led it with.
Oh, no, you're right.
with
I
Mr.
break
Crow.
up. Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, I should have got his rank in the military, so we could have been calling him.
We
Cole.
don't even know that?
I
Can
don't.
you text him?
Son of a bitch.
I need to know.
I don't know if I have his
So what
number in
rank did
here.
you attain? Do it.
He's a couple hours ahead.
I'll keep going.
Yes, please
This is because it's all fascinating about Mel Brooks' service. In Germany, his unit was the first to construct a bridge over the Aurora River, and they would later build bridges over the Rhine River. Oh, I guess that's in France. By April of 75, his unit was conducting recon missions in the Harz Mountain of northern Germany, and days later, the war ended. So he was in the shit right up until the very end. In May of 45, the next month, he recalled, this is sad, seeing starving Jewish refugees who had just escaped the concentration camps. He said this left an indelible impression on him, as he is Jewish, of course, and he felt lucky to be an American. And a short time later, he was honorably discharged from the Army as a corporal.
Keep going.
That's all the time I can buy you. But that's serious stuff, man. You see people like, we did a little research, you and I both did, and some people did, they had a cup of coffee, they did their basic training, and then went over, served at some fort somewhere in peacetime. Mel Brooks was in the shit. He saw some crazy stuff.
He did. That sounds like he did.
Yeah.
Mel, who would have thought that? You don't look at Mel Brooks and think, it's a war vet.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Did we even say? Okay.
What's that?
thank you for your service and Veterans Day. I don't want to do it a disservice at all. I don't think we are. I think we're doing a pretty good job when Brian's not leaping over someone actually served.
That's true. I know. He jumped on the grenade for me.
Number 3, this is a 2-way tie. Same actor, 2 different roles for Philip Crowe, who I just put the call out via email. Hopefully we'll get his rank before the show is over, so we can call him Corporal General or whatever he may be. 3T, which is they tie Gene Hackman, Bri.
Yeah.
I'm imagine that Hackman's going to be on your list because you
No,
love your Hackman so much.
But I went with that doesn't surprise me as much. I went with ones that were more like, oh, no shit.
Gene Hackman as Agent Rupert Anderson in Mississippi Burning, a great character, one that made his way into this program not too long ago with a clip, even with the ball crushing of.
Now listen here, shit kicker.
Yeah, and then
that was what's his fuck?
Yeah, Rourke.
Rooker.
Michael, I just call him Harry. Henry. I call him Henry. And then his tie for a role is Gene Hackman as Sheriff Little Bill Daggett in Unforgiven. And Gene Hackman, here Philip goes on to say, Gene Hackman served in the Marines from 1946 to 1951 as a field radio operator, just like me, and wound up doing radio for the armed forces. By his own admission, he had a problem with authority and was busted down in rank 3 busted down in rank 3 times during his military career. See, I read it as rank 3 because that's how
3 times he was busted down in rank.
See, I guess if I was a good reader, I'd be able to read ahead far enough, and my dumb brain would not be dumb. And
your word by word.
Mr. Hackman goes on to say, Mr. Hackman is really great. A quiet menace. I agree with that. He does the "now you listen here" bit as well as anyone in Hollywood's history, and both of these roles are chock full of it. And that's what he has to see. Now back to my list, and then we'll take a quick little breaker here. My number 3 was definitely a revelation, and it is Mr. Adam Driver.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that?
I love that. Maybe I did at some point, but as soon as I saw him on the list, I'm like, I know he has to be on my list because I love this guy. I know that I've not seen the best of Adam Driver. I know he's been toiling with Mickey and the Kylo Ren over there, but he's got a lot to give us. He's got years and years to show us more.
To dazzle us.
Absolutely, Bri. I'm going with Inside Llewyn Davis to date as my favorite of his roles, even though he doesn't really say a whole
single
lot.
Scene. I mean, he probably says 11 total words.
He stole that whole movie for me. He was the best part of that movie that I can't quite access or appreciate like a lot of you can, but I loved Adam Driver. I know that I'd seen him before that, even though that's the first time I remember seeing him. He was in Francis Ha before that, which I saw for sure before that. But Adam Driver is one of the most important actors in early Hollywood. No, that's the wrong guy. All right. Before I guess a lot of people know him in Girls too. Apparently he came on someone's girl's chest in that show Girls, and you actually see the pearl necklace there. I don't need that. He's also Kylo Ren, of course, and he's a lot of other things. But Adam Driver was a Marine. He was a Marine, like so many young people of his generation. You know what got him to enlist?
9/11.
9/11. Nailed it. Yeah, he saw 9/11 and he was like, "Fuck this shit. I want to do something." Which was my first instinct too, and then
cooler has prevailed.
Actually, I told you my 9/11 story, right? Like I was my one of my 5 to 10 best friends ever in my life. Continue to be friends with him today. He's a highly decorated officer. I don't even know. He's general, corporal, or something.
He's a general.
He's got general in
Holy
his name,
shit.
or corporal,
Major
lieutenant,
general.
or corporal, colonel. He's got a colonel in his name. He's a lifer, Air Force.
Okay.
And I was sleeping one off on his couch at his parents' house when he was in town from the Air Force Academy visiting, coming back home to visit. Like when 9/11 struck, when it happened,
really?
he woke me up, and he was
getting suited up.
He came down. I was asleep on the couch, and he came down.
I go to New York.
And the first words I heard were, "They're bombing the shit out of us." And he grabbed the remote, turned on the TV, and I woke up, sat up, and
Jesus.
And then he's on the phone with his dad, who was also a lifer. So I was like, that was my my morning, seeing what was happening and hearing it firsthand from people in the military and like what they were, planning. And then of course Corey started getting involved. Corey and
he's there with Brokaw.
Corey ended up doing all sorts of things because so that's what got Adam Driver to enlist, and he was medically discharged after being injured in an unrelated accident, which almost got him off my list because it's like, all right, you signed up and then you got out of there because you stubbed your toe
Adam
or
Driver.
something. Yeah, Adam
You're
Driver.
talking about your buddy. I'm like, off your list.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I should have done that. Yeah, not my buddy.
I was so shocked.
What is his guy? He's got Colonel in
Text
there.
him right now.
I wanted to say Colonel General, but that's not it.
I'm
I was there.
I'm going to buy you some time. Text him right now because I'm going to contrast your story with my story of 9/11. Not so much about me, and more about this horrible town and industry we find ourselves in. I was scheduled to be on a game show on September 12th, 2001. The next day, Wednesday, September 12th, I was going to appear on a little tiny Comedy Central game show. And I tried out. I'd been cast in the whole thing. And at about noon on September 11th, buildings smoldering, I got a call from the game show producer. And she's like, oh, my God, are you seeing what's happening on TV? I'm like, fuck, of course, everyone's seeing what's happening on TV. It's insane. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's going to change the world. And she's like, oh, my God, I know. It's so sad. Anyway, the show must go on. We're going to record tomorrow.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
That's what she said verbatim. Oh,
Did you go?
Anyway, yeah. I mean, what else was I going to do?
Well, I mean, you're right on her page. You're like, great minds, honey. I'll see you there.
What else was I going to do?
Not go?
Out of
Enlist?
respect.
Take the Adam Driver route?
I would have failed the physical probably back then. Maybe I would have found my brain tumor earlier.
Oh, look at that.
Anyway, that was the soulless ghouls that are in Hollywood. Anyway, the show must go on.
Well, I mean, it was. Did they ever air that episode?
Yeah.
How long though? They took a while.
Oh
right?
yeah, it was a few months later.
All right, taking a quick breaker here.
Break time. Amazon purchases up next, and then more list. I know. I'm seeing your point. I'm deciding. I have two things I want to discuss. I learned last night. Have you heard this or experienced this yourself, Anderson? A friend of mine I was having dinner with last night explained that it's a very well-known an inside joke amongst plumbers that the Costco Kirkland brand toilet paper will clog up your toilets much more than other brands. Have you heard this?
I've never heard that, but I mean, I've never either, neither nor. But I could see that. I'm not going to question that.
I never knew it. I never heard of it.
Or is that like Big TP trying to like spread false rumors?
I guess you not to buy the cheap stuff.
No, that Big TP can't be trusted, bro.
Could be. The reason I brought it up because someone bought Georgia Pacific Angel Soft bathroom tissue through our link. That's at ShopAndersonandBryan.com. Thank you for doing that. Good luck with your pipes that won't get clogged.
Pipes.
Other things purchased.
Why is it? Why you? Oh, that's not good.
Oh no.
You'd think that I used to produce this show, and you'd think that I would.
It's the glory days.
All right.
We were never better.
Okay. Some might say that. All right, look at this. Nope.
What is happening?
Look at this, I say, and then I fuck right up.
There's
and then I
better.
fuck
There's
right.
nothing better. Oh, can I tell you I did? Oh, you'd be happy. I did that. I was playing poker on Friday with some friends, not here, but at their place. And yes, I don't play the music yet. No, this is not part of it. This is not part of it. This is not part of it.
All right, the music's on for you. Take it away.
I on the flop, I had a king high flush, which is very difficult to beat unless you have the ace of hearts.
I know
which
how
I
cards
did.
work. Yes.
Anyway, I'm explaining to our listeners.
I see.
And when I won, I said, "quote I've always wanted to say this. I flopped the nuts straight." Now that's funny for two reasons. One, it wasn't a straight; it was a flush. And two, it wasn't the nuts. I could have very easily been beat. So I look like a damn fool.
Were you doing that on purpose for jokes and for yucks, or did you really fuck up?
Oh no! I knew I didn't have a straight. I had a flush. So I was.
Are you recounting us to show us how funny
it was
you were?
self-deprecating, but it came off as foolish.
I see. Because it was actually double foolish. I think I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Other things purchased.
I don't pick up what you're putting down. In fact, I was alerted to something very funny you said a few weeks ago,
really?
which I didn't even hear in real time. I guess I was probably raging about something.
Tell me.
But you were looking at the title of a movie that we were assigned, or I was assigning you, and you said there's a lot of vowels in these names. Am I gonna have to read this movie? I think that's what you said. I think that was along the. Oh yeah, I was Speak No Evil.
That sounds about right.
And I assigned it to you, and you're like, what is this shit? Oh, there's a lot of vowels in this movie. Am I going to be reading this shit? Yeah. Well, a lot of vowels in these names. Yes.
That's good. Other things purchased. That's a funny joke. Through the Amazon banner.
Enjoying himself.
I actually quite enjoyed that. Someone got big purchase of the week. Someone got a Juno 88-key synthesizer. Thank you for getting that through us. Appreciate you. Onkyo, THX certified AV receiver.
Okay.
Kamado Joe, rotisserie accessory for your Komodo. A lot of it's Komodo. Is it Kamado? Huh. 10 Amazon gift cards for $25 each. That's a lot of money. Air quality monitor was purchased. Someone got themselves a 2002 Apple TV 4K. Beats Fit noise canceling earbuds. Zen edible basil seeds. I did not know one could eat basil seeds. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't, but I don't know that was the thing that was put into circulation and sold and purchased, apparently. Xbox Core wireless controller, Lunar Shift Special Edition. 8-bit Do, ultimate Bluetooth controller for Switch and wireless. I mentioned the Angelsoft bathroom tissue. Genuine Joe Solutions, hard wound towels. Okay. Isopure creamy vanilla whey isolate protein powder. Puma men's Smash 2 sneakers were picked up.
Pooms.
That's right. You're wearing Pumas today. I noticed when you walked in. Optimum Nutrition muscle recovery powder. Someone got themselves Troy Organics olive oil gift basket. I hope that's for me. We enjoy olive oil. 5 Crown. Oh, you know what this is? Someone got 5 Crown Awards golf trophies with custom engraving. That's a gruesome gift right there. Amazon Basics paper towels, wireless controller for Nintendo Switch. A history of crime in the American criminal justice system was purchased. Lodge cast iron Dutch oven. This is simply called Japanese fruity candy in the Fireflies movie branding. I investigated. I couldn't find any more information. Fur Haven dog bed replacement cover was picked up, as well as, finally, 2 INIU.
You're not in me.
Portable chargers. Nailed it.
You did, actually.
Spiked in the end zone.
Here are the moments that were clicked through since the last time I talked to you. It's a short list this week. I guess because we're doing the show early.
Yeah.
Army of Darkness was clicked through, as well as The Edge, Boiler Room, Driving Miss Daisy, U.S. Marshals, Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior. I'll never forget seeing that as a very young child in the theater.
Inappropriate.
Those fingers coming off because of the sharp boomerang changed me forever. Forever and ever. John Q, a cheap ripoff, was clicked through. It's a Manchurian what is that? What is that?
Never saw John Q.
No, John Q. What is it? It's a remake of something. What is it? It's a remake of
John P.
No. Terrifier was clicked through as well. You got to click through the Terrifier. It confuses me every time. It Comes at Night. Hey, you know what? That's a movie that doesn't get enough love. Just a few years after it came out, they did some really, really fun, cool things with the camera in that. Some fun, cool things all the way through. It Comes at Night. Very, very good movie. No Man Land was clicked through, as well as The Thing. Hey, look at that. Speak No Evil. We were just talking about that. That's the one with all the vowels.
Read that fucking shit.
On the Line was clicked through, as well as Nope. Hey, Nope is uttered in the middle of Barbarian. And I was thinking, are they pissed?
Shout out.
Because it's very similar. She's looking down a stairwell, and she just decides against it. It says nope. On the Line was clicked through. Did I say that? Despicable Me and Columbia Classic 4K Ultra HD collection of It Happened One Night, From Here to Eternity, True Sir with Love, The Last Picture Show, Annie, As Good as It Gets.
Okay.
It's a lot of movies.
A lot of movies.
In that Columbia Classics.
That's right.
Hey, thank you very much. You know how Pablo Escobar got all of Weird Al Yankovic's movie?
I didn't know that.
You know how he got his whole collection?
No.
Through Columbia, the Columbia.
Because he lives in Columbia and Columbia Record.
No, it was the Columbia
House?
Record House. Yeah, and he's like, 1 penny. It was a very good deal. I got all of your records for 1 penny. Very, very good deal. Very good deal.
I find that hard to believe.
Were you ever tempted as a kid to try that out?
Oh, dude, I did it all the time.
Did you do it?
I did the 12, whatever it was, 10 or 12 for the price of 1, because then you could actually cancel and just sign up again. Oh, I populated my CD collection with many. Was it Columbia House? What was the other one?
I don't know.
One of them was.
I knew it was a total riff
One was 12 for
Rift?
a penny.
Rift?
Grift or ripoff
Yeah.
or scam. Yes, 12 for a penny was the scam because you were obligated to buy then like 11 at the regular price. It was outrageous.
So it was like half price on all of them.
You ended up paying more. But the other one, the 12 for 1, you could just cancel and there's nothing they could do about it.
All right, we're going to get back to the program. I would like to point out the name of this track from Dead Cat Hat. Oh, shit, I'm fucking up there. Anyways, the name of the song is Pitcairn Island. Pitcairn, you got to love that. Right?
Do love it.
You know Pitcairn, right? The
No.
shipwreck, and then the survivors went there and then just started banging each other for centuries. Pitcairn?
No.
Pitcairn Island, scary place.
I don't know anything about this.
Pitcairn fucking rules. We talked about it at length on the old
Is this the one where like
After
no
Desert.
people have ever been?
No, that's a different one. That's
Okay.
All right.
You
that's
did multiple
that's
island episodes?
I guess so. We also did Easter Island.
Oh my God.
We love the islands. All right, back to the program. Pitcairn.
I guess so. All right, thanks all of you who clicked our Amazon banner and bought things on Amazon. We appreciate it. Now let's hear Philip Crow's number 2.
Number 2 from Philip Crow. Thanks for getting us back on track, Brian, and giving him his position.
His position, yeah.
Number 2 from Philip Crow is George C. Scott as George S. Patton in Patton. A little bit on the nose. He also, Philip, began with, I didn't read it because it was more to me, but he says he knows that a lot of these might come off as like basic picks, but he just really wanted to honor the names and what better way to do it than to talk about their best movies, or at least the ones that they're best known for. So he goes on to say about George C. Scott, what better way to honor a Marine than by asking him to bring real life and color to an Army puke. George C. Scott.
I love the rivalry. I love it.
George C. Scott served in the Marine Corps from 1945 to 19.
Don't do that.
I did it again. I'm a bad reader. The Marine Corps. I should know that, guys. I'm fading here. 1945 to 1949. A lot of these guys got in right after the war.
I know.
Did you notice that?
Good timing.
During that time, he was assigned to the Marine Barracks, Washington, located at 8th and I Streets in D.C. That's where all the fancy dudes live. The silent drill team, the Marine security guards, and the president's own Marine band, among other support personnel, all live there. It's actually quite an honor. Apparently, his detail there was serving as an honor guard for fallen Marines.
Oh, shit.
What to say about his performance? It won the Oscar for Best Actor, an honor he refused. When asked about it, he replied, "The whole thing is a goddamn meat parade. I don't want any part of it." I love that, George C. Scott.
Good for him.
Do you know how to tell if George C. Scott is coming your way? It's easy. This is still Philip Crow talking. The clanking of his huge brass balls heralds his every
rival of George C. Scott.
His every approach.
It's good.
I need more George C. Scott in my life. It's been probably like over a year or two since I've seen a George C. Scott performance. Maybe since Day of the Dolphin. That might be the last George C. Scott movie I've seen to date, which is a shame because every time I see him in any movie, I used to watch some of his movies again and again. I've seen Patton like probably 3 times, but because my buddy, I'm still waiting to hear from Philip, but my buddy chimed in, and he is a lieutenant colonel.
That's pretty good.
I think that's good for the Air Force.
Better than us.
A lieutenant colonel.
Does he fly planes?
Oh, he's retiring in December. I did not know that.
Does he fly planes, or did he?
Yeah, he flies a big dude. He flies a lot of the when there's fires out here. He's in the big fire droppers. He flies C-130s. He does all sorts. He's been all over the station. He's seen a lot of action. Yeah, he's the real deal.
That's cool. Number 2 for me, if I may. This very much surprised me. In a way, it also didn't, but I think it'll make sense in a second. The only female on my list. Mm-hmm. Do you have any females on your list?
I don't. And I was going to wedge one in.
I didn't have to wedge in B. Arthur.
All right.
B. Arthur.
But she's not in movies there, Brad.
She had a great cameo in History of the World Part 1. Speaking of Mel Brooks, she was the unemployment officer in Old Rome. The idea there would be an unemployment officer is comical. Mm-hmm. On February 18th, 1943, just 5 days after the Marine Corps began recruiting women.
Did you do it?
No, that was very.
Was that on
intentional.
purpose?
That was very intentional.
Right.
A young.
Don't make fun of your special friend here.
5 days after the Marines began recruiting women, a young Bernice Frankel went to enlist. The then soon to be B. Arthur had to obtain her parents' consent for her enlistment. Recommendations, physical exams, physical or personality appraisals. Enlistment was a lengthy process for women. In fact, the Women Reservist Organization was so new that the Marine Corps hadn't even created the necessary paperwork. So it was like it was a rush before they were even ready for it, and they proceeded to enlist women using U.S. Navy paperwork on February 20th.
You know why they didn't do the paperwork?
Don't do that.
Because they didn't have any secretaries, right?
Oh,
Enlisted.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. So 2 days later, after she went to enlist, she joined the ranks of the Marine Corps as Private Frankel.
It's corpse.
Oh, sorry about that. She attended the first women reservists school at Hunter College in New York. She spent 1944 and 45 at the U.S. Marine Corps Air Station in Cherry Point, North Carolina, where she worked as a driver and dispatcher. It's a long dissertation here. So discharged in 45. She had attained the rank of staff sergeant, and her discharge paperwork indicated she desired to attend dramatic school, setting her on a path to stage and screen.
Number 2 for me is
I have a lot more.
Jeff Bridges. His entire family were all Coast Guardians.
Oh, really?
I don't know
See, I shouldn't be shitting on it.
ever called Coast Guardians. But yeah, his father, his brother Bo, they all served as Coast Guards, and Jeff Bridges has some harrowing tales of grueling conditions at sea that only made him appreciate, the better side of living and good living, and not extreme conditions all the much more.
Do you have dates? Was he like Korean War or was it peacetime?
No, it was peacetime. But I actually read a whole article on Bridges in particular. Actually, I had the article read to me on the computer while I cleaned something. So I listened to the whole article. It was a good read. Listen, but yeah, I didn't have to put any of that in there. I should have just said that I read it. It makes me sound smarter. What the fuck? The ceiling is he was in a place. The ceiling was about 7 feet tall, and below the racks where you sleep, there's like 3 or 4 racks stuffed into the space. And
wow!
You're out in the ocean, the sea that's a flat bottom boat up against the wind and swells, and everyone is puking. His least favorite assignment, which he had to do often, was clean the buoys and like scrape them and then paint them, and then by the time that they were done with one, it was time to like start on the other side again. Like it was one of those, like kind of like the Golden Gate Bridge. It's just never done.
In San Fran.
No, it's Frisco.
Okay. It's
in Frisco. In one of those cities.
It's in Marin.
One of the cities.
Right.
It's
in a city.
A city. Yeah. Of course, Big Lebowski's right there, but I want to shine a little light on Fearless, a movie that's kind of somewhat forgotten about. Peter Weir film. Fearless, absolutely love that. Fearless is a band. Ikiru, got some similarities there. It's about a man who faces death, plane crash, and he comes out the other side and has a whole new look of life. He lives much freely, and he doesn't have fear anymore. He's
all right.
Almost dying and then not dying, free some of his anxiety, and Fearless is a kind of a movie that doesn't get as much love as it should from a Coast Guard vet named Jeff Bridges.
All right.
Of course, he's the dude. I mean, the dude is he'll never ever not be the dude, right?
No,
which is so funny
now.
because we remember Jeff Bridges well before he was the dude.
I was going to say he had quite a lengthy career before he was the dude.
And I still think of Jeff Bridges as Jeff Bridges and not the dude. But I would imagine most people, especially people younger than us, just think of the dude whenever they see Jeff Bridges.
Even like when he's like Crazy Heart, he's still the dude.
He's got range, though. He does.
Of course he does.
He's one of those guys. He's just that guy. Like, he'd be very hard to replace other than his brother. You know what I mean? His brother could probably replace him if
That's probably true.
Yeah. Bo.
Do you have Mr. Crow's number 1?
Yes, let's go. Number 1. Here we go, Mr. Crow. I did not hear back from Philip Crow, and that's on me. I should have absolutely started off with what was your rank, but I mean, that's kind of like, I don't know. Maybe that's gauche. I don't know.
No, I think they're very proud of it.
What was all that sound?
Yeah, it isn't broke.
Paulie was from
Burt Young.
Yeah, he's still in a lot of things.
Thought he was dead.
Oh, he's not maybe dead. Number 1 for me is
For
I mean,
Philip.
not for Philip. I'm sorry. I'm fading over here.
Easy,
Too much reading, dude. This is why I don't like to read. My
Get
brain
more-
just
get
gets
more
mushed.
coffee. Come on.
Mushed. I got to
Help
be asleep
yourself.
in 2 hours, Brian. That's not going to happen.
That's hard.
Brian Dennehy
Oh.
as Sheriff Will Tessel in First Blood. Tessel.
I think it's actually, I don't know.
Number 1 is Brian Dennehy as Sheriff Will Tessel. And he goes on to say, Brian Dennehy served in the U.S. Marine Corps from 1959 to 1963 without distinction or scandal. After he was honorably discharged, he embellished his military services to include service in the Vietnam War, which is exactly the kind of shit that Will Tessel would do. Tessel. This movie I have not seen this movie in so long, so I don't know if it's Tessel or Teasel. This movie was released in my formative childhood years and has remained one of my all-time favorite movies since I saw it in 1985 or so. Let's just go back to 1982 for a moment. This is still Phil talking. You don't know why Rocky Balboa is playing a scruffy Vietnam vet.
That's right. He's like a drifter.
You've never heard the name John Rambo, and you've never heard the term survival knife. Vietnam vets are having a lot of trouble reintegrating into polite society. Watch this movie again with that mindset. Yeah, this is something that he brought up in our phone call. Phil did. Phil. And he said, a lot of people, they just hear Rambo or First Blood.
Right.
It's
killing machine.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's a lot. He's like, there's a lot more to it. It's one of his favorites, and it kind of bums him out when the movie is just kind of like a punchline almost.
Yeah.
Thought of in that.
No,
it's Rambo 3 is what did it. Rambo 3 has kind of cemented it as a goofy franchise. But
yeah, because that first movie, he's a really complex character.
He goes on to
for a guy who kills a bunch of cops.
Wrap it up with Will Tessel was, by the way, number 3 on my top 5 movie villains behind Clubber Lang and
this guy loves Stallone movies.
Magua? Who's Magua?
Maga?
Jesus, you're making me look bad over here, Phil. Come on now. Magua? I gotta find this out.
From where?
I don't know. It's just Magua. He's one of his villains.
Is that a Disney villain?
Magua. Who is this Magua?
Don't know.
Must find out. Magua.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Magua, Wikipedia. The Last of Mohicans. Ah, of course. That guy fucking ruled. That guy terrified me.
Who's the actor?
Urine. Part of the Urine.
Jesus Christ.
I know. I'm actually.
You're carpet bombing.
I know. What's Magua is a fictional character and the main antagonist in the 1826 novel, The Last of the Mohicans. Huron. It's the Huron tribe. Yes. I believe that was his tribe. All right. They were murderers.
I got a lot of info about number 1.
Murderous. I didn't say murderers. All right. Let's not get all like all right.
Number 1 has a lot of info because not only was I a little bit surprised.
You're going to read a lot right now?
I could.
I
was a little bit surprised to find out that Paul Newman was a veteran. But also, there's a crazy. First of all, he's by far my most decorated veteran on my list. He actually got ribbons and medals and whatever. But he has a crazy story about his service. So after he graduated from Shaker Heights High School in 1943, he joined the Navy's V-12 program at Yale in the hopes of becoming a pilot. However, Paul Newman, colorblind.
Paul Dano.
That's right, Paul Dano. Thank you.
In Little Miss Sunshine. His character
right.
in Little Miss Sunshine is what I was alluding to.
So instead of completing the program, he was shipped to basic training where he qualified to be a rear seat radioman and gunner for torpedo bombers. And in 1944, he was sent to Barbers Point where he operated torpedo bomber squadrons designed to train replacement pilots. And he was later stationed on an aircraft carrier as a turret gunner for an Avenger aircraft. So I found this story so crazy. I'm just going to do it off memory. I don't know if you come across this in your research or did you see this? He narrowly avoided a very bloody and disastrous attack by kamikazes because the pilot that he was teamed with came down with an ear infection.
Mm-hmm.
And so they took him out of rotation or service or whatever, treated his ear infection. And like the next day, kamikaze pilots attacked the ship they were assigned to. And I think there were something like 400 casualties. It was a very bloody, over 400 of the crew died. Paul Newman had a very high chance of being killed that day, but because of the ear infection, he lived. And he went on, I want to give him his due. During his Navy years, he was awarded a Combat Action Ribbon and also Combat Air Crew Wings for his work as a gunner. And his other honors included the American Area Campaign Medal, a Good Conduct Medal, and a World War II Victory Medal.
Beyond that, he was on torpedo bombers, which you mentioned, but also the USS Bunker Hill in the Battle of Okinawa in 1945.
There's a lot there.
And yeah, he left the service a very, very decorated veteran. He is also my number one, which I did not expect him to be your number one. But after looking at a very large list, I just love Paul Newman so much.
You saw
He's
that
just
story about the ear infection and everything?
so understated,
Crazy.
and it's so many other people would kind of use that as his entire identity. I think,
exactly.
and he had so many different identities, and they were all he kind of kept him close to the
philanthropist and of course actor
and race car driver.
That's right.
The man just lived so many different lives and didn't ever seem to really boast about it. He seemed like a really humble.
I had no idea
guy.
he was military.
Yeah, exactly.
Let alone fairly, to my eyes, highly decorated.
Remarkable man, Paul Newman. It's one of those things I don't like lining up with you, Brad, but I think that this is deserved on this here list. So. If he was a Marine, I would imagine he would be on Phil's list as well.
That's right. But he's not, so I'm dying to know who number one is for Phil Crow.
Oh,
I'm his friend. I call him Phil.
Do you call him that?
Yeah.
We already did Phil's Crow.
Number one?
Number one. Yeah. Brian Denny.
Oh,
because he went first, Brian. He was the first.
Oh, yes. God
so
damn
5-1 is
all
for
over
Phil is Steve McQueen, Scott Glenn, Gene Hackman as both two different roles. George C. Scott and Brian Denny, and then my number one is, in case you haven't picked up on that, it's Paul Newman there. So also rants. Here's some also honorable mentions from Phil, and that is Pat Sajak, not an actor in the old movies over there, but it is crazy to think of him as a Marine.
Indeed.
Pat Sajak.
And here we are.
B. Arthur, he's got on the list.
I love the B. Arthur thing. That's so great.
Burt Young, Paulie from the Rocky movies. And yes, in my research, I don't know why I was second guessing myself. I know why I do that because I do that all the time with knowledge and tidbits and whatnot. When I'm sitting across the brainiac over here, I always just assume that he's probably right. But no, Burt Young still very much alive. Not only that, in my research, I did discover this was shocking to me. He has not one, not two, not three, but 4 movies in the works, either filming or in pre-production. The man's still at it. He's got 167 credits. Burt Young still very much alive and working. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, maybe he doesn't want to and he has to. I don't know. I don't know. And that is Wilford Brimley, well-known diabetes sufferer. And, of course, Harvey Keitel, which just missed my list. He also has George Peppard, Hannibal on the TV series, and the A-Team. All right. Also rans for you, bro.
The list is way too long, but the one I want to highlight that almost made my list, but then I found out maybe his service wasn't so distinguished, was Mr. Richard Pryor. Was in the Army from 1959 1960. You might be thinking, why just 1 or 2 years? Well, he was thrown in the stockade, in the brig, for fighting. They were watching, what movie was it? Hold on. They were watching a movie, him and his... Imitation of Life, the Lana Turner movie. They were screening that in July of 1960, and one of the other servicemen watching was apparently being very racist, and Richard Pryor didn't like that and attacked the man. And
I like that.
And here we are. He was. It was a technicality. Do I have it written down here? He was. It's something like he was discharged with honors. It wasn't honorable discharge, but it was like a way around,
right?
Basically, kicking him out of the Army.
Can I just say that maybe this is a unique situation that happens every now and again, where racism actually was a good thing?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Gave us Richard Pryor, the comedian.
He got to get out of there quicker, and maybe he would have taken a different path. It's terrible that he had to suffer that, but I'm being somewhat flippant here. George Carlin also in the old military, but he did not fare too well either. He had a rocky military career.
He clashed.
He did clash. And then I think Tony Curtis as well. There's like Brian said, Ernest Borgnine almost made my list. He was in the Navy for 1935, served for 10 years, Brian. He was a Navy man.
Jack Lemmon almost made my list.
Jack
Lemmon
in
terms
is
of
also
people I wouldn't have necessarily expected.
And then also, I don't know how much it was covered in that fever dream of a movie called Elvis that came out earlier this year, but Elvis, a lot could be said of Elvis and how he joined the military, but he had the opportunity to they afforded him the opportunity to actually come in and just be like an entertainer and like be quote unquote in the military. And he said, no, I want to actually do the whole thing and do it right. And
famously, cut his hair, went to basic training.
So yeah, I think that's very noble. All right. Very good.
Yeah.
Shed a lot of light, huh?
Educational. I learned a lot researching and I learned a lot listening. So thanks, Phil Crow. I consider you a friend now, so I'm going to call you Phil. A great topic.
Don't do that. Yes, that's stolen friendship. It's like stolen valor.
Stolen valor. I got
it. Listener list, Brian. You were supposed to keep me honest, and you did not.
I was just about to say a listener list.
Here's the listener list brought to us by Jordan Wolf, who, by the way, I spoke with Jordan Wolf earlier this week. And it sounds like Jordan Wolf is going to be stepping down as, and I don't blame him. It's a real pain putting together these lists. That was one of the first things that I looked to have somebody help me out with when I was producing, because it is a real pain compiling these lists. But he's been doing it for a number of years for us, and he's kind of trying to not stare at social media as much these days, which I can't blame him for. So he said he'll stay on until we find somebody else who would like to step in and do it for Jordan Wolf. But I told him he could step down anytime he likes, obviously. So if you would like to be a part of the listener list and help with the old Instagram, do apply straight to Avery. Let Avery know at contact at, what is it? ContactTFV at Gmail. Yeah, ContactTFV at Gmail.
Feels like something a producer should do.
Yeah, well, he's not here right now, so it's something that it does take some time, and there's different situations, different ways of doing it. But it's checking out the socials and seeing what people's picks are for our topic each week. I love having a listener list week in, week out. I would miss it if it was gone. So if somebody would like to become a part of the program on a weekly basis and help us out, that'd be great. So let Avery know over at ContactTFV at Gmail. We need a better email address than that, but what do you do? All right, number 5, thanks to Jordan Wolf for compiling this, is James Doohan in Star Trek. All right. Charles Dunning in Dog Day Afternoon comes in at number 4. Number 3 is Gene Hackman in multiple roles. Number 2, Adam Driver in Marriage Story. It is a great performance. And number 1 is The Layup, and I'm glad that he's makes somebody's list here, because R. Lee Ermey is
there you go. How to be
in Full Metal Jacket with over half of the overall. Half of the overall, he made the list. So
give me the list again, 1 to 5.
It's James Doohan, Star Trek, Charles Dunning, Gene Hackman, Adam Driver, and R. Lee Ermey.
All right.
All righty, and let's do what we do here and gamble.
Right.
We got an email from Avery letting us know what happened last week on the program. We gambled on Armageddon Time.
Yeah.
I said 85. Bri said 87. Actual score with 155 reviews. The actual Rotten Tomato score is 75, making me the winner. Movie we're going to be gambling on this week is Wakanda Forever. Black Panther. Wakanda Forever.
I think Fablemans comes out too. At least
limited. That's maybe.
According to Box Office Mojo, is limited.
What am I going to make you watch? Now, you should watch Barbarian just for the good of the show and just for good conversation. And now that it's streaming on the old HBO Max, I believe.
Think about it.
You're going to be watching Weird, which is you assigned that to yourself and to me. I do want you to go back in time, though, and put in the work and watch something that you should have watched a long time ago, which is one that echoes in my head still. I just probably saw it for the first time 10 years ago, and I still think about A Face in the Crowd over and over again. Yes.
I remember you speaking fondly of this film.
I love this movie, A Face in the Crowd. Make sure that it's streaming somewhere, but that's a movie that I would like to hear you discuss, and you're going to actually know it better than I will, because you will have seen it more recently. So, and look for the dog that gets just tossed over the fence in a wide shot. It's very upsetting. Very upsetting.
$3 rental across many platforms if you guys want to follow along.
Face in the Crowd is a movie that it's proof that some of these movies, I saw it one time.
Stuck with you.
11, 12 years ago, maybe 13 years ago, and I still think about it all the time. And it's like I a lot of time I'll feel like I haven't watched many classic films, even though I've seen a bunch, but I think I can't, because it's always one of the first that pops into my mind.
I can't watch this.
Why is that?
It's directed by Elia Kazan, and I don't support snitches.
Okay.
Who named names to the committee.
All right.
So come with something else.
That's a good point, though, actually. No, but you're going to be watching that. All right. We're
Can't believe you gave me that much.
Gamble on Black Panther.
Can I look it up real quick?
I'm sure you already have. All right. I'm ready.
Hold on.
And you know what? I've been shamed enough for calling movies critic-proof. This is one that would definitely fall into a danger of foolishness and someone suggesting that. I understand why I would say it. I understand why a lot of people would say it. But when it was pointed out to me why it might sound wrong or gross, and then also when I just took a brief look at some of the conversations and threads on Twitter and all the types of people that are calling everything this and that critic-proof, I'm like, I don't want to be a part of that crap.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
So
we're
critic-proof.
rarely wrong. The movies are often very highly rated.
All right. On 5?
No, I'm not ready.
On 3?
I gotta think about this one.
On 2. Want to do it on 1? I'd rather not.
Okay.
All right, you ready? On 3.
Okay.
1, 2, 91.
Ooh, 90.
Fuckers.
We're one point
All right, tell me what it is, because I
don't know what it is. Hold on.
Refresh your home screen.
Stop it. Wakanda.
Refresh your home screen.
Stop it. Wakanda for Wakanda.
Forever.
It is
Forever.
no score. How can that can't be possible?
Come on now.
Oh, no score. I don't think.
Really?
That's not good. Oh, that's not good
not
for
good
you.
for me.
Yeah.
Facing the crowd for you. Facing the crowd for you.
No score. Well, it's also Sunday, so we're almost a full week out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the trailer looks okay. I mean, it looks what you'd expect from a big Marvel movie.
Do we have?
I don't know. I came across a punter. Oh, Jesus Christ! This is.
Do we have
Please, Gio, you were
Fablemans?
very, very active over this
I
last
need
week.
to know
I
if
have
you
to.
have
I
Fablemans.
can't say that I didn't notice that you were very active with the emails, Gio. I love you, but I'm very, very behind on everything, and I can't do it. So when I bring up the fact that there was a movie called The Punisher from the Marvel Universe from like 15 years ago that I stumbled across somehow, I didn't watch it. I just saw it on the old IMDb. I'm like, look at that. They were making The Punisher like 15 years ago. I don't need to know the lineage. I don't need to know all the producers who were involved in it or all of the tour details that were involved. I don't need to know any of it.
Gio,
I don't need to know any.
I would like very much.
Please send it straight to Brian. I
I
know he's
would
going to say
like-
something clever right now. Like, please send it to
I would like
Anderson.
very much for you to keep sending these to Anderson.
You know, send it to Avery. Avery has some downtime in his work, and he can bring the best, the
Oh,
cream of the
the
crop. I
distilled
love
version,
Gio, and I learned something, but I'm compelled to read it, Gio, and I don't have time to read it. In fact, I showed great restraint and didn't respond to one of your emails that I got. I looked at it, but I didn't respond because I had nothing to say.
We should have.
Oh shit! I feel like I'm being mean to Gio. I'm not
You
being
are
mean,
being
Gio.
exceptionally
Gio,
mean.
you've shed so much light. I think about you fondly every day as I'm watching Spider-Man with the boy. You're so good to me and so good to the show. I'm just telling you right now, I'm a little bit pressed for time over the next few weeks. All right. Oh Jesus! I feel like he's not going to send emails now. I'm going to feel bad. Oh fuck!
we should have done this. We should have done this blind, but I looked up the score for Fablemans. Would you like to guess what it is?
Oh, that's how I wanted to open the show and every other show.
Oh,
Movies are like dreams. That's douche chills right there. When you hear something like that, the feeling you get inside your body when you hear a
I
trailer
was inspired.
opens with movies are like dreams, and you just want to fucking jump out of the theater exit door. That's douche chills. I would say this is 62. I feel high for the Fablemans being
Really?
62. Yeah, it just
I
looks
would have
like
gone much higher.
absolute
than
dog
that.
shit.
94.
What?
94 with 65 reviews.
Movies are like dreams.
You know you're gonna love it. You're gonna.
What was
cry.
your
You're gonna cry.
favorite part?
You're gonna get dusty.
I might. I'll be the first to admit it. I hope it happens. I can just tell you the way that they're positing that movie to the general audiences via trailer is shite.
I can only assume that this is a typo because the listener art, which is fantastic, it says listener art Florency Brummer. I assume it's Florence Brummer submitted her own.
No, that's her
listener art.
daughter, Florency.
Oh, is
Florency.
that,
Yeah, yeah.
you said that it was her daughter. That's
Her
right.
daughter did the listener art this week, and it's
It's excellent.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer
want-
related.
Do you think the daughter listens? Does she know the inside?
She's aware.
Is this an
aware.
inside joke about
I've
how
met
much?
Florency. I met her in
I
Hotel
think-
del Coronado.
I think I actually did too because
Met her on the
yeah.
beach down there.
Disneyland. The names are above the wrong people.
They
in
do
the-
that,
in the
and we
poster.
talked about how much we hate them.
I'm wondering if that's an inside joke because they know how much we hate it.
Or maybe Florency just doesn't know us well enough, and they think that I'm Brian. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh no,
That is a nightmare.
no, it's
what's
not
going
true
on in
because
her
you're
head if
actually Florence Brummer is over your head.
Okay. She knows her mom, I would imagine. Yeah.
I would imagine.
All right,
Thanks, Dead Cat Hat, for being our featured artist this week. Check them out, AndersonandBrian.com. That's where you go. Lots of good stuff over at our Patreon. If you want to check that out, including a watch along coming up here in a week or so.
Yeah, we're doing it. We don't have the movie, but we're doing it on what is it? Wednesday. Help me out, Brian. Keep me
Oh,
honest.
I'm sorry.
Wednesday. The
16th.
16th, we'll be doing movie night at 5:30 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time. Or is it Standard Time? Or how's that work? It's Standard Time. But daylight saving time.
That's PDT.
All right, we're West Coast right here. So 5:30, it's going to begin, and the movie begins at 6. We try and make it 6 o'clock sharp. That will be fun.
We'll announce that on the next episode. Which movie?
Yes.
And of course, everyone who's signed up at that level.
Well, by then we'll already be here because this we're doing condensed.
Oh, well, but people could get it. When do they get the episode?
You look in your Patreon feed. You'll get an update really soon for what that movie's going to be. Yeah, because it'll be like the day before this. So yeah, just Brian, find a schmaltzy, shitty movie that you think is worth that we can stream.
That's at the $10 and up level. If you guys want to join that, it's just $10 a month, and you will join a thriving community of Film Vault movie watchers,
movie lovers, and it's a good community. You guys are all really good to each other, and you have fun, and
it's a good time. It's a little party every once.
We always learn something and learn something about you guys for sure. So yeah, it's
too much.
Come on over.
The Amazon banner, you know what to do with that. It's on AndersonandBrian.com. Instagram is Anderson and Brian. The Film Vault on Twitter and Facebook. Of course, YouTube is the Film Vault podcast.
Do your Christmas shopping or some of it over at Addie's Antiques. Guaranteed it's going to be some of the most unique stuff that you can bring to a Christmas party, whether it be a white elephant or your family home. We got all sorts of different stuff from all different levels. And
shop for your parents over there.
It's all authentic shit.
And you know what? You forget how many gifts you need to give out, like obligated to, like, I don't know, your kid's teacher or kid's coach, or, you just need gifts. You need fun things to exchange.
Right.
So look over there, Addie's Antiques over on Facebook Marketplace. Thank you, all of our Patreon listeners. And of course, Giovanni, did you get mentioned this episode?
Love you, Gio. Love you.
Jomo, Mitch Burns, and Mike Cole. Appreciate you all. Thank you for helping make the show go. Invade the Decade will not be plugged. So don't worry about that. Until next time.
We do it for Van Gogh.